Stop. If you're thinking about touching your 401k, even just borrowing from it, stop right there. Because most people who make this decision have no idea what it actually costs them. Not just today, not just this year. We're talking decades of damage from a single moment. Here's a number that should make you pause. A record 6% of 401k holders made emergency withdrawals this year. That's the highest number ever recorded. And another 13% took out loans against their own retirement savings. Most of them thought it was their only option. It wasn't. So, before you open that account, before you call your plan administrator, stay here. Because what you're about to learn could save you tens of thousands of dollars, maybe more. Welcome to Gigi Invests, where we break down real financial decisions in plain English. No jargon, no judgment, just the information you actually need. Today, we're going deep on one question. What really happens when you touch your 401k early, and what should you do instead? If you're new here, subscribe. We do this every week. Real data, real answers. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about where things actually stand, because the headlines are lying to you. Every year, Vanguard publishes a report tracking the retirement accounts of nearly 5 million real Americans, and the 2026 numbers just came out. The average 401k balance, $167,000. Sounds okay, right? Except that number is almost meaningless. The average gets pulled up by a small group of people with extremely high balances. A handful of millionaires in the data make everyone else look better than they are. The number that actually tells the truth is the median, the person right in the middle of the pack. That number? $44,000. Think about that. Half of all 401k holders in America have less than $44,000 saved for retirement. And for people aged 55 to 64, the people who should be closest to the finish line, the median balance is around $95,000. At a standard 4% withdrawal rate, that's $317 a month after 40 years of working. And it gets worse. 40% of Americans have zero retirement savings. Not low savings. Zero. Nothing in any account. Meanwhile, the personal savings rate, how much money households have left after paying all their bills, just fell to 2.6%, the lowest it's been since April 2008, right before the last financial crisis. The 30-year average is 5.7%. We are less than half of that right now. So when people are rating their 401ks, this is why. Not because they're careless, not because they don't understand finance, because for millions of households, the math of surviving month to month simply doesn't work anymore. But here's the part that should give you pause. Even when you're desperate, even when the 401k feels like the only door left, opening it might cost you far more than you realize. Because what happens inside your 401k the moment you make that withdrawal? Most people have never seen the full breakdown, and the numbers are genuinely shocking. Most people think withdrawing from their 401k means paying a penalty, a fee, something they'll deal with later. That's not what happens. 3 things hit you at once, simultaneously, and together they can destroy years, sometimes decades of financial progress. The first hit? The 10% early withdrawal penalty. Immediate, non-negotiable, before you see a single dollar. Withdraw $10,000, the IRS takes $1,000 off the top. Gone, before taxes even enter the picture. The second hit, income tax. Your 401k contributions went in before tax. So when you pull money out, the government treats every dollar as income in that calendar year. Depending on your bracket, that's another 22 to 37% on top of the penalty already taken. Do the math. A $10,000 withdrawal after the 10% penalty and a 22% tax rate puts roughly $6,800 in your pocket. You lost almost a third of your own money, instantly. The third hit, the one nobody talks about. This one is silent. and it causes the most damage. Every dollar you pull out today doesn't just cost you that dollar. It costs you everything that dollar would have become. Think about it this way. $10,000 left invested, growing at a 7% average annual return, becomes $76,000 in 30 years without you doing anything, without any extra contributions, just compound growth doing its job. You didn't lose $10,000. You lost $76,000. If you're in your 30s, it gets even more severe. Pull $10,000 at 35, and you just erased what could have been $76,000 by retirement. Pull it at 25, and that same $10,000 could have grown to $149,000. One decision, decades of damage. That's the real cost. And that's why the people who truly understand retirement don't treat their 401k as a backup plan. They treat it as untouchable until the time is right. Some people think they've found the smarter move. Instead of withdrawing, they borrow. Take a loan from their own 401k, pay it back with interest. No penalty, no taxes, problem solved. Except it isn't. Here's what the fine print says. When you repay a 401k loan, you repay it with after-tax dollars. Then, when you retire and withdraw that money, you pay tax on it again. The same dollars taxed twice. That's not a loophole. That's a trap. And there's another problem most people don't see coming. If you lose your job or leave it for any reason, most 401k loans require full repayment within 60 to 90 days. In today's job market, where layoffs in 2025 hit levels not seen since the pandemic, that's not a hypothetical scenario. It's a real and active risk. Can't pay it back in time? The outstanding balance gets reclassified as an early withdrawal, which means the full 10% penalty and income taxes apply immediately. The loan you took to avoid penalties just became the thing that triggered them. And while the loan is outstanding, that money sits on the sidelines. It's not growing, it's not compounding. In a strong market year, that missed growth compounds the loss even further. Research from the Employee Benefit Research Institute confirms 401k borrowers consistently end up with lower balances at retirement than non-borrowers, even when they repay the loan in full and on time. The loan feels safer than a withdrawal. In most cases, it costs just as much. If this is shifting how you think about retirement, share this video. Someone in your life right now may be about to make this decision. This could stop them. So, if a withdrawal destroys your growth and a loan is a trap, what do you actually do when a real emergency hits? There's a clear decision ladder, and most people are skipping straight to step 5 when they haven't even tried steps 1 through 4. Before you ever touch your 401k, work through these options, in this order. Option 1, your emergency fund. This is your first line of defense, and for most households, it doesn't exist, or it's too thin. The Federal Reserve data shows the median American household has about $8,000 in checking and savings combined. That barely covers 1 month of emergencies for most families. The target is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, rent, utilities, food, insurance, sitting in a high-yield savings account where it earns 4 to 5% interest while it waits. Liquid, penalty-free, no taxes, no forms. Just yours when you need it. Building this fund runs parallel to your 401k contributions, not after. Parallel, because the people who skip this step are the ones who end up in section 4 of this video. Option 2, 0% intro APR credit card. This sounds counterintuitive, but if you have a short-term emergency, a repair, a medical bill, a temporary income gap, a 0% APR card buys you 12 to 18 months to recover without touching retirement. One rule: you need a clear and realistic plan to pay it off before that promotional window closes. This is a bridge, not a lifestyle. Option 3, personal loan or home equity line. A personal loan at 10 to 15% interest sounds painful, and it is, but compare it to losing a third of your withdrawal to taxes and penalties, plus $76,000 in future growth. Suddenly, 12% interest looks like the better deal. Math first, always. Option 4, Roth IRA contributions. This one most people don't know. If you have a Roth IRA, you can withdraw your contributions, not your earnings, just the money you put in, tax-free, penalty-free. Roth contributions go in after tax. The IRS already got their cut. Pulling the principal back out doesn't trigger anything. This is a legitimate emergency lever that most Roth holders never think to use. Option 5. 401k hardship withdrawal, last resort only. If you've genuinely exhausted everything above, the IRS does allow penalty-free hardship withdrawals in specific situations: unreimbursed medical expenses, foreclosure prevention, funeral costs, damage from a federally declared disaster, tuition under certain conditions. Outside these categories, the 10% penalty still applies, and income taxes always apply, regardless. This is the door you open when all other doors are locked, not the first one you try.
Here's something worth understanding, because it changes the entire conversation. The financial pressure pushing people toward their 401ks right now isn't just about bad decisions. There's a structural force driving it. Economists call it a K-shaped economy. At the top of the K, asset owners, people with stocks, real estate, and retirement portfolios. They've done well. The market returned roughly 28% over the past year. Wealth grew. At the bottom of the K, wage earners, squeezed by costs that have outpaced income growth every year since the pandemic. Rent, groceries, insurance, childcare, all significantly higher. Wages, not keeping pace. And the cruelest part of a K-shaped economy is this: the people at the bottom often make too much to qualify for assistance, but not enough to build any cushion. So when an emergency hits, the retirement account becomes the only option they can see. This is why hardship withdrawals have increased 6 consecutive years in a row. This is why the savings rate is falling every single month. This is why 40% of Americans have zero retirement savings at all. Understanding this matters because it reframes the problem. The solution isn't just willpower or smarter budgeting. It's building a financial structure, deliberately, systematically, that makes your 401k the last door instead of the first. Which brings us to exactly how to do that. 6 things, in order. If you do these, your 401k becomes a wealth machine, not an emergency fund. 1. Take the employer match, always. If your employer matches your 401k contributions and you aren't taking the full match, stop everything and fix this first. A 50 or 100% employer match is a guaranteed return. Nothing else competes with that. It's the foundation. Get it. 2. Build your emergency fund in parallel, not after your 401k is maxed, in parallel. A thin emergency fund is what turns a temporary financial problem into a retirement crisis. Even $1,000 set aside separately changes the equation. Start there and build. 3. Turn on auto escalation. Most 401k plans let you automatically increase your contribution by 1% each year. You set it once, you barely notice it, but over 20 years, that quiet 1% increase can add tens of thousands of dollars to your retirement balance. Turn it on today. 4. Watch your fees like your retirement depends on it, because it does. Here's the real math most people skip. An index fund charging 0.03% per year versus an actively managed fund charging 1%. On a $50,000 balance earning 7% annually over 30 years, that fee difference costs you over $90,000 in lost growth. Not thousands, $90,000. Gone in fees on money that was already yours. Always choose the lowest cost index fund available in your plan, every single time. 5. Know the benchmarks, but don't let them freeze you. 1 times your salary saved by 30, 3 times by 40, 6 times by 50, 8 times by 60, 10 times by retirement. If you're behind those numbers, so is the median 45-year-old in America who has $87,000 saved against a benchmark of $450,000. You're not uniquely behind. You're in the same position as most people. The only wrong move is letting that feeling of being behind stop you from moving at all. 6. If you're over 50, use catch-up contributions. The IRS allows an extra $7,500 per year on top of the standard limit once you hit 50. Contribute that consistently for 15 years, and you add close to $200,000 more to your retirement. This tool exists specifically for people who feel like they started late. Use it.
Let's make this concrete one final time. Real numbers, real scenario. You're 40 years old. You withdraw $20,000 from your 401k. After the 10% penalty and a 22% tax rate, you walk away with roughly $13,600. That $20,000 left in your account, growing at 7% annually, would have become approximately $152,000 by the time you're 70. So the real cost of that withdrawal isn't $20,000. It isn't even the $6,400 you lost to taxes and penalties. The real cost is $138,000, the gap between what you received and what you gave up forever. That is the number to hold in your mind before you make any decision about your retirement account. Is what you need the money for worth $138,000 to you? Sometimes the answer is yes. Real emergencies exist, but know the price before you pay it. Here's where we land. The financial pressure hitting households right now is real. The savings crisis is real. And the pull toward that 401k when everything else feels impossible, that's completely understandable. But now you know what it actually costs. The triple penalty, the real alternatives, the structure that keeps your retirement protected even when life gets hard. That knowledge is worth more than anything else in this video. At Gigi Invests, we believe every person deserves access to honest financial information, not watered down, not wrapped in sponsorship deals, just the facts clearly explained. If this video helped you, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe if you're not already here, and drop your question in the comments. Every single one gets read. Build smart, build consistent, and protect what you're building. See you next week.